It's an all-new episode of It's Just 10 Minutes. I'm so glad to have you tuning in. Last week we talked about the wait. And in the wait is where God prepares us. He stretches us. This stretching, it's what I like to call growing pains. So today, if you feel like life is pulling you here and pulling you there, then give me 10 minutes to help you handle the growing pains of your life. And now, it's just 10 minutes. So, here we are, waiting. God has made us some promises, and they haven't happened yet. We're waiting on the manifestation. And while we're waiting, not only are we dealing with the frustration of the wait, but we must also contend with the work of the wait. The work. While we are in the wait, God is working some things in us and working some other things out of us. In the wait is where He stretches us. The stretching, the growing pains in the wait. So what is God trying to do in this period of stretching? As I said previously, He's working some things in us and working some things out of us. But before He can do this work, He must get us in a position for the work to be done. In the stretching, God moves us out of our comfort zone. When a mother eagle is ready to teach her babies how to fly, she knows that her first task is to get these baby eagles out of the nest. For the baby eagle, the nest, it represents safety and security. It's a place of comfort and ease. Why would anyone want to leave that? So to get these babies out of the nest, the mother begins to fill the nest with sticks and with thorns. She stops bringing food back to the nest. So now this nest, which was a place of comfort, it's now filled with thorns and sticks. The food, which was constant and abundant, is now lagging and lacking. The nest is, in a word, uncomfortable. The mama eagle knows that if the nest is comfortable, the baby eagles will never leave. And God knows that if He allowed us to stay in a place of comfort, we would never leave. So during the wait, He causes some things to be uncomfortable for us. You know those familiar places we go to, those places we call our stomping grounds. Well, sometimes they won't feel familiar. They will in fact feel strange. Don't worry, it's just God making us uncomfortable. For in order for God to get us, to position us for this work, He first has to move us from where we are. And that also means that sometimes we have to move away from some people in our lives, move away from some habits that represent our comfort zone. When we are positioned, then the work of the wait can begin. God seeks to work some things out of us while we are waiting for the manifestation of the promise. God allows us to look at ourselves in the mirror and see those things that aren't right with us, those things that we need to change. And if we were in a comfortable place, let's just admit it, most of us would never look in that mirror unless we found ourselves in an uncomfortable place. As we see ourselves as we are in that mirror, God can begin to work those things out of us that are hindering us from reaching our place of destiny. In the stretching, God works fear out of us. In the stretching, God works anger and bitterness out of us. In this stretching, God works any malice or hatred or unforgiveness. He works those things right out of us. And while He's working those things out of us, He begins to work some things in us. He works in love. He works in forgiveness. He works in contriteness of heart. He works in humility. He works in long suffering and patience. Which begs the question, while God is doing this working out and working in, what are we to be doing? how do we handle this stretching, these growing pains? Well, first, be open. God is always wanting to do a great work through us and in us. Remain open to whatever that is. I know things seem difficult. I know it hurts. I know it's uncomfortable. But don't close yourself off to what God wants to do in your life. Stay open. Stay flexible. He doesn't do things as we think he should. He does them as he sees fit. So don't get locked into the process, looking only one way or feeling only one way. Don't box God in. Stay focused on the big picture. Often, when things get hard, when we are being stretched, we tend to get tunnel vision. We see only the hurt or the pain or the uncomfortableness of our situation. We can lose sight of Romans 8:28, which says that all things work together for the good of them. All things, even the uncomfortable things. All things, every hurt. All things, every painful moment or experience. All things work together. Don't lose sight of the big picture. Don't get trapped in taking the narrow view of your situation. God doesn't just work one end of our circumstance. He's working both ends, the out and the in. And then sometimes you just got to faith it out. Hold on to your faith, knowing that this stretching has a purpose and it also has an end. Trust God even when you can't trace him. For at the end of this stretching, at the end of the wait, after God has done his work and we have done ours, there is a payoff. Just like on your job at the end of the week or the month, there's a payday. Well, being stretched, making it through the waiting period, there's a reward at the end. At the end, we gain a new level of maturity. This waiting, this stretching, it's all designed to help us to grow up and to mature us in our walk with Christ. We gain a new level of trust and faith in God. Our level of trust and faith would never increase if we were never put in situations where our trust and our faith is all that we have to stand on. Waiting and stretching, they develop those things. We gain a closer relationship with God. The waiting and the stretching, they involve periods of aloneness. For there will be people who will not understand or be able to relate, and therefore they will be of no comfort or help to you. Doesn't make them bad people. They just can't relate. Because only God will understand your tears, your hurt, your uncomfortableness. And that brings us closer to him. And lastly, at the end of waiting and stretching, we will find ourselves closer to our place of destiny. Hey, I told you before, our place of destiny, it hasn't moved. It's right where it's always been. Yes, we may have strayed off course. We've gotten distracted. We've taken a detour. Some of us tried a shortcut. But at the end, destiny, it's still in the same place. So the waiting time and the time we spend being stretched and growing into what God has called us to be, it all gets us closer to arriving at our place of destiny. The growing pains, the waiting, the stretching, it's all moving us closer and closer and closer and closer. Destiny, it's firmly in view. As I told you on last week, these past few months have been challenging to say the least. For in this waiting period, I've been stretched further than I ever thought I was capable. So I pray that these last two broadcasts have blessed you as they have surely blessed me. Thanks for tuning in this week. I'm looking at the clock now. It's been 10 minutes. We appreciate you listening this week. You can catch us on the World Wide Web at itsjust10minutes.com. You can subscribe to the podcast from there. You can also hear us on Spreaker.com, Podomatic.com. We're on YouTube, Google Play, and iTunes. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. And join us next week. You've got nothing to lose. You want to know why? It's just 10 minutes.